So like I said, there are 3 options and you choose one and write 250 words about it. I'm going to show you the real phrasing for those questions as well. The first one is about community. It says, reflect on your membership in a community. What is your involvement? Why is your involvement important to you? And how has it shaped you? You may define community however you like. The second question is, Yale students, faculty, and alumni engage issues of local, national, and international importance. Discuss an issue that is significant to you and how your college experience could help you address it. And the last option here reads, tell us about your relationship with a role model or a mentor who has been influential in your life. How has their guidance been instrumental to your growth? So we're going to start from the first one, community, and ask ourselves what counts as community. What are topics that are acceptable to write about here? And if you remember, they say you can define community however you wish, which means that you can choose any kind of community that you feel you are a member of, you are a part of. And so some of the options in case you're stuck are things that have defined boundaries, like your town or your school, team, religious organization. And these are communities that are pretty well defined for you. Then there are also informal communities like your friend group or your family, coworkers, the people who live in your neighborhood. These are all communities, and kind of irrefutably so, even if they have a little less definition to what it means to be your friend or your neighbor. What matters here is that this community is important to you and that it's a community you can contribute to and that you have contributed to, but it's also a community that you've learned something from, that you've taken away. And so that is the main focus of this essay. In a structured way, who is part of the community? How did you join it? Who has made it, a space for you? And you want to describe, what that community is like. How are you as part of that community? How do you interact with your peers or superiors or inferiors, or however the community is structured? What is the dynamic like? Is it, something that is just fun and relaxed and loving? Is it something that is rigorous and gets you thinking outside the box, or makes you work really hard, but you love the work that you do? So, thinking about what this community is like. And then you want to talk again about your engagement with this community, what you've given to it. So what have you done? What initiatives have you brought to it? What is your role within the community? What is it that you give? And then the flip side of that, what do you gain? What do you take away? What is the community giving you? So what have you learned from this essay? What have you learned from this community? How have you grown, and who are you becoming, and who have you already become because of this community? So you want to be focusing not just on one direction, but both. It's a two-way street, and you want to make sure that you get both sides. Next is the significant issue question. And again, we want to define what an issue is. So it doesn't really matter what issue you choose, so long as you do choose something that has enough nuance for you to talk about in a complex and intelligent way. Excuse me. But you also want to make sure it's an issue that has some relevance to you. Otherwise, it will come across as dispassionate, and you want to make sure you are always coming across as somebody who cares about the issues that they think are significant. So you can come at it from one of two ways, kind of a grand issue or a local issue, where the grand issues are big unsolved things that are common in society, like cancer or homelessness or food insecurity. If you do choose a grand issue, you want to make sure you are reminding yourself of the personal importance. Grand issues definitely have no lack of nuance, but you want to make sure that they do have that personal meaning. Maybe you yourself have encountered homelessness, or lived with food insecurity, or have lost someone to cancer. So definitely make sure you're tying those home, bringing them back to you. Then your other option is to go with something that is inherently more local. Maybe your high school has teaching staff that don't represent the diversity of the student body. It's not a global issue. It's not a huge, wide-scale issue, but it's something that strongly affects your community and you. Maybe you've been living in a town that is directly suffering from the opioid crisis. Or maybe you have divorced parents and you've started some activism groups for children of divorced parents. So you have an issue that is a little more localized and it has that personal importance. Make sure to, in these cases, remember the nuance. You are certainly going to want to avoid issues that you don't have any connection to, that aren't personally important. You want to avoid things that are a little too grand, things that you can't make personal, like world peace. And you also want to avoid talking about issues that don't align with Yale values. Yale, like most universities in America, generally have a left lean. So I would caution against writing a very strong defense of social conservative values. They are certainly values that you are free to hold and free to express, and Yale welcomes people of all backgrounds and ideologies, but likely you're applying to Yale because it's a place you want to be. It's a place where that, you have something in common with, and so definitely take this time to emphasize the things that you share with Yale rather than the things that divide you, because a reader only has 5 to 7 minutes to go over your entire application. You don't want them to come away with a sense that you are somebody who won't thrive at Yale. So keep that in mind. And then, like the intellectual interest and community essays, I want to go through a brief structure, but it looks very similar to what you might expect. What is the issue? How did you come across it? Why is it meaningful to you? What is your continued relationship with this issue? And how have you already engaged with it? What is your past with this issue? And then again, turning to the future, looking forward, what is your future with this issue and how does your Yale education address? Is it, something that your field of study is related to? Does Yale have specific programs or opportunities that will give you insight or context for tackling the issue? Alternatively, is it something that Yale's academic flexibility will let you explore? For example, maybe you are interested in health policy, and so you want to take classes in the sciences, you want to take classes in the history of health science and medicine, you want to take classes in political science and economics, and you want to bring all those things together to write new healthcare policy. Maybe it's something about the community at Yale, like your peers and your professors, your mentors, who will help develop your ability to navigate the issue in the future. Basically what you want to say here is, what are you learning at Yale? And how will what you learn at Yale apply to the issue so that you can take action and move forward with confronting that issue in the future?